Hey guys, this is my Ring of Honor DVD review of Violent Tendencies. Before I get on with the review, I just want to thank Sidu. Sidu, I didn't know it, but you actually plugged me. I forgot to look at your description box for your Dragon Gate video, but thank you very much. Alright, so Violent Tendencies. This show took place back in June, at the end of June. And let me say this, this is has a great double main event, but the undercard is pretty bad in my opinion. So, but I definitely recommend go checking it out. So let's get down to the actual card. First match we get Grizzly Redwood versus Silas Young. I mean, yeah, this is a very unattractive way to start a show. But I'll give it credit though that the crowd was pretty much into it. It wasn't a typical HD net crowd. You know, they pretty much got into Grizzly Redwood and got behind him. So it wasn't that bad. So next up, we get Brent, Albright, and Erick Stevens versus Kenny King and Rhett, Tttus. This is kind of weak, to tell you the truth. I just wasn't feeling the first half of the match. Eventually, it did pick up, and I can't remember much about it now that I'm looking back on it. But I mean, the last 2 minutes were pretty solid from what I remember. Okay, so next up, we get Nigel McGuinness versus Claudio Castagnoli. You know, if you were expecting a classic Nigel McGuinness match here, you definitely be disappointed. This wasn't about Nigel having like an epic 5-star match. Claudio attacked Nigel back at the Take No Prisoners pay-per-view, which was right after Nigel lost the belt. So this is kind of a continuation of their feud since Nigel took a couple months off. So basically, it was just a brawl. You know, it was pretty much a brawl. I really couldn't tell if Nigel looked 100% or not. I mean, they really just beat the shit out of each other, and it pretty much ended in a double count out. So yeah, as far as Claudio Castagnoli goes, I hate his theme music. I don't know, I just can't stand it. And you know, Claudio really hasn't put on a good match in a while, so hopefully he could get it going. So next up we get El Generico and Kevin Steen versus Josh Raymond and Christian Abel. Haven't seen much of those guys, so I mean, pretty decent stuff. The first half of the match was kind of slow, but the last 2 minutes, these guys, you know, they hit some pretty nice offense. A lot of sweet stuff off the top rope. Just so they pulled out a lot of cool stuff. Man, Steen and Generico did some fun stuff. So yeah, the final couple minutes were pretty decent, but overall the match really wasn't anything to talk about. 6-man mayhem match was pretty good actually, better than I expected. We get Austin Aries, the new Ring of Honor champion here. Now, you know, Ring of Honor used to have a tradition where, you know, that whenever someone won the Ring of Honor title, they would come out to the ring at the start of the show and just have like a speech. They haven't been doing that for a while. I think the last time they did it was with, I guess it was with Nigel, but they didn't do it for Jerry Lynn, and they didn't do it for Aries. So. But anyway, this was Aries versus Rasche Brown versus Sami Callahan versus Delirious versus Joey Ryan versus Petey Williams. This is Petey Williams' Ring of Honor debut. The thing about this match, Aries cut a really funny promo before the match, and him and Joey Ryan agreed to work together in this match because Aries didn't want any of these no-name guys to make an expense. I mean, I'm sorry, to make an example out of him in this match. Basically to make a name at his expense, but that's what I was trying to say. So yeah, this is a pretty solid match. I mean, just really good action. There was a couple times when I really thought it was going to be over. Just a lot of near falls. Just a very fun match, and exciting athleticism mixed in with some comedy, and it just made for a really fun match. So next up we get D'Lo Brown versus Colt Cabana. Their match at Supercard of Honor 4 was the worst match on the show. And I really wasn't looking forward to this, and this is pretty much the same thing. I just don't think these guys have that great of chemistry, and I don't know, just kind of like watching this match, I was like, oh, I can't wait for the double main event. So next up, these are the two matches I've been dying to see for a long time. We get the Ring of Honor World Title match, the American Wolves versus KENTA and Roderick Strong. Now, this was supposed to be KENTA and Bryan Danielson versus the American Wolves, and Bryan Danielson ended up getting that staph infection. So they replaced him with Roderick Strong. And I actually think this made for a better... I think Roderick Strong actually fit more for this match this particular match. I just think Roderick is due for a big match, and it really came across well. These guys dished out a lot of stuff in a short amount of time. They went really hard. You know, I mean, they didn't do anything that you haven't seen before, but it was just very crisp, very well executed, and just a ton of near falls, and just awesome stuff. You know, KENTA's going on an amazing run this year, as well as Davey Richards, and you know, I mean, you would expect KENTA and Davey Richards, you would expect those two guys to have the best exchanges from the match, but I thought Strong and Richards really really shined together whenever they were going at it. So, and I won't spoil the ending, so let's just move on to the main event. The steel cage match, the showdown, Jimmy Jacobs versus Tyler Black. Their first blood match from Manhattan Mayhem pretty much set this match up. You know, Jimmy Jacobs has a history of having great steel cage matches. He had a pretty much a near 5-star cage match with B.J. Whitmer back in Supercard of Honor 2. That's what pretty much pushed Jimmy Jacobs into the main event scene. That match, I definitely recommend go checking it out. Was this match as good as that? No, I mean, it would have taken a lot to live up to that match, but this is pretty damn close. I was really impressed with this match. A pretty violent match. Jimmy Jacobs was pretty brutal. He took out a spike. You know, they went through a lot of punishment here. And then eventually Tyler Black did an amazing splash off the top of the cage through a table to pin Jimmy Jacobs. I'm going to have to spoil it, but that's what happened here. Just an incredible cage match. And then the ending featured a whole bunch of guys in black hoodies coming out and just, you know, bombarded Tyler Black in the cage. They just surrounded him and started stomping the shit out of him. There was like maybe 25, 30 guys that came out, and Jimmy Jacobs declared the Age of the Fall is still alive. So I don't know what happened at End of an Age, the next show. I'm sure they would explain it on that show exactly what the purpose of all this was, but I'm not really sure. I'm sure End of an Age would explain that, because Jimmy Jacobs doesn't even have a match on that show, so I'm not sure what happens on that show. But overall, Violent Tendencies, you gotta pick it up. It's a great double main event. I'm not gonna say it's a great show from top to bottom, but there's 2 match of the year candidates on here, and you know, that's a definite recommendation in my book. So definitely check this show out.